Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Trilby, the Gypsy Rose Lee of film criticism, and if you're wondering who Gypsy Rose Lee is, Google her, but make sure the safe search is on. And happy 2018 everybody, for those of you who have not been up to date with my content in 2018 so far, and this is the first thing you're listening to. Hello, welcome to a brand new year, and there's going to be quite a few changes around the YouTube sphere, not just for YouTube itself, but also for me. But let's just talk about the Share the Love segment, because before we get into quite a bit of negativity, let's get into some positivity, because that's what the Share the Love segment is all about. I would like to give a shout out to YouTuber Anime AJ. And basically he does animation breakdown videos and animation style videos on anime, and also on Dragon Ball Super specifically. I've been catching up with Dragon Ball Super, the Japanese dub, and while I abandoned it originally when it was like 35-40 episodes in-ish, I have found that it got much better. It was still quite flawed. I still don't think it's quite as good as Dragon Ball Z, but I have been quite enjoying the Japanese dub, and I'll be following the English dub as well, which is currently about 45 to 50 episodes in, and is getting into the Future Trunks arc in the next couple of weeks, so I'll be interested in seeing how the dub and Funimation portray that arc. But Anime AJ gives incredibly detailed breakdowns on the animators and the staff behind Dragon Ball Super, explains their different techniques, explains how you can tell one animator from another based on the way they shade, the way they animate movement and such. Even if you're not interested in animation, they're massively informative and really, really interesting to watch. And I also think if you do want to get into animation, it's just a really good channel to keep an eye on in order just to know how to have your own style, how certain movements and certain motions can prompt what word am I looking for? How it can portray impact, I should say. I need to think before I speak. And they give very detailed breakdowns as to the different animators, such as Takahashi, who has become quite a big name in the Dragon Ball community because of his incredibly awesome art style. So I highly recommend you check out Anime AJ. You can follow him on Twitter, you can subscribe to him on YouTube, so be sure to go over there and tell him that Trilby sent you. So with that out of the way, let's talk about YouTube's rather controversial changes to the YouTube Partner Program, which was announced a couple of days ago on Tuesday, January 16th. So let me just read the YouTube creators' Google blog post on this issue that YouTube themselves put out. This is YouTube's statement. 2017 marked a tough year for many of you, with several issues affecting our community and the revenue earned from advertising through the YouTube Partner Program. Despite those issues, more creators than ever are earning a living on YouTube, with a number of channels making over 6 figures, up over 40% year over year. In 2018, a major focus for everyone at YouTube is protecting our creator ecosystem and ensuring your revenue is more stable. As Susan mentioned in December, we're making changes to address the issue that affected our community in 2017 so we can prevent bad actors from harming the inspiring and original creators around the world who make their living on YouTube. A big part of that effort will be strengthening our requirements for monetization so spammers, impersonators, and other bad actors can't hurt our ecosystem or take advantage of you, while continuing to reward those who make our platform great. Back in April 2017, we set a YouTube Partner Program eligibility requirement of 10,000 lifetime views. While that threshold provided more information to determine whether a channel followed our community guidelines and policies, it's been clear over the last few months that we need a higher standard. Starting today, we're changing the eligibility requirement for monetization to 4,000 hours of watch time within the past 12 months and 1,000 subscribers. We've arrived at these new thresholds after thorough analysis and conversations with the creators like you. They will allow us to significantly improve our ability to identify creators who contribute positively to the community and help drive more ad revenue to them and away from bad actors. These higher standards will also help us prevent potentially inappropriate videos from monetizing, which can hurt revenue for everyone. On February 20th, 2018, we'll also implement this threshold across existing channels on the platform to allow for a 30-day grace period. On that date, channels with fewer than 1,000 subs or 4,000 watch hours will no longer be able to earn money on YouTube. When they reach the criteria, they will be automatically re-evaluated under strict criteria to ensure they comply with our policies. New channels will need to apply, and their application will be evaluated when they hit these milestones. Though these changes will affect a significant number of channels, 99% of those affected were making less than $100 per year in the last year, with 90% earning less than $2.50 in the last month. Any of the channels who no longer meet this threshold will be paid what they've already earned based on our AdSense policies. After thoughtful consideration, we believe that these are necessary compromises to protect our community. Of course, size alone is not enough to determine whether a channel is suitable for monetization, so we'll continue to use signals like community strikes, spam, and other abuse flags to ensure we're protecting our creator community from bad actors. As we continue to protect our platform from abuse, we want to remind you all to follow YouTube's community guidelines, monetization basics, and policies in terms of service, and Google AdSense program policies, as violating any of these may lead to removal from the YouTube partner program. And that's basically the long and short of it. There's maybe 3 more paragraphs left, but a lot of it is just reiterating and repeating. There's also a new system on Google Preferred, which is YouTube's very top-tier advertising network, which they access the top 5% of content on YouTube in order to reach the highly coveted 18 to 34-year-old audience, which are the ones who advertisers mainly want to target. And what will happen is that people in the Google Preferred program, if they want one of these videos to have access to those advertising deals, the videos will have to be manually approved and submitted through YouTube. I think there was a news story saying that Google and YouTube were going to bring on 10,000 new staff members in order to help with the workload, in order to view all of these YouTube preferred partners and make sure that their content is family friendly before they go live on YouTube to prevent a whole Logan Paul situation from happening again. Now, YouTube in this statement do not mention Logan Paul by name. However, it's kind of hard to ignore the fact that these changes may actually be a result of the whole Logan Paul fiasco from a couple of weeks ago. And for those of you who have been living under a rock, what Logan Paul did was that he was filming a series of vlog videos in Japan. One of the videos was titled "We Found a Dead Body in the Japanese Suicide Forest." Then there was a dead body in the thumbnail, and then they filmed a dead body on YouTube. They monetized the video, it got 6 million views in a day or two, and YouTube did absolutely nothing about it. Logan Paul took the video down after a significant backlash and blowback, and Logan Paul has had a slight he's been slightly reprimanded by YouTube. He's no longer in that Google Preferred, but he still is getting a huge amount of subscribers, and I'm sure there's a lot of ad revenue money going his way because his audience of predominantly children are still sticking by him because they literally are not old enough to know any better. I know that sounds really snobby, but it's a part of the story that many people seem to keep on forgetting or neglecting to mention, that Logan Paul showed a video of a dead body to his audience of predominantly children. So over the past year, there's been a lot of mainstream coverage on YouTube, and most of it has been substantially negative, in where some of their top creators have been caught doing terrible things or saying bad things. For example, you had PewDiePie, who was promoting like Nazi-esque propaganda, albeit jokingly, but still a lot of his audience took it quite sincerely. And people say he was quoted out of context from the Wall Street Journal article. If you actually go back and read that article, there's very little out of context. I actually think the Wall Street Journal did a pretty good job with that report. Articles and other news outlets after the fact may have reported him out of context, but that initial Wall Street Journal one, that was kind of right on the money, regardless of PewDiePie's intention. And then you also had the JonTron situation, where during a stream he was doing a live stream debate with somebody called, I think his name was Destiny, and he basically said that black people are genetically more likely to commit crimes than white people. That's just part of their genetics. And he also followed that up saying, "That's a fact, look it up," which is, yeah, it's kind of the reason I don't watch JonTron anymore. And you also had the whole issue with the adpocalypse, which was kind of spurred on by PewDiePie getting all this mainstream attention. And you also had the children's, the YouTube Kids app getting these adult videos, which had millions of views, and were making these people who were making this really cynical, corporate, obviously not child-friendly content on the YouTube Kids app and getting lots of ad revenue from them. That was kind of Adpocalypse 3.0. And then you have the Logan Paul situation. So what do all of these elements have in common? The Logan Paul, the PewDiePie, the JonTron, these quote-unquote kids videos with millions of views. And millions of, not millions of subscribers, but still millions of views and lots of ad revenue. What do all of these elements have in common? They're big YouTubers, or they at least have a big presence on the platform. Yet this new policy is going to be punishing the smaller YouTubes. Now, in principle, I get it. Because if these creators are making less than $100 a year or making a very small amount of money, then they may be costing more in server costs and to have them on the platform than they're actually making YouTube in ad revenue. And if you are making that little amount of money, then if you're only making maybe $1 a month, you're not exactly affecting people's livelihoods in that, at least in that extreme low regard. But when they keep on saying bad actors in this statement, firstly, they don't clarify who on earth they mean by bad actors. Do they mean very bad people who have done bad things to gain mainstream notoriety on the platform? Because the people who have 4,000 watch hours or less than 1,000 subs, they don't get that notoriety because their YouTube channel is so small. Okay, so if you don't mean that by bad actors, do you also mean people who take people's content and just upload it verbatim and get the monetizing and the ad revenue? Well, there's a reason people do that, and that's because they get a lot of views, they get a lot of subscribers, they get a lot of watch hours, and they get a lot of ad revenue for it. So you're not even affecting that issue, because the people you're affecting are so small down, are so low in the pecking order, so to speak, that the copycat channels, they easily past that benchmark. That's why they do it. They don't go out of their way to copy and paste all of this content and upload it onto YouTube for a couple of dollars a year. They do it because they get thousands of dollars a year in ad revenue. This grace period and this whole 1,000 subs, 4,000 watch hours is not going to affect those channels. So, okay, I also understand people who are supporting this, at least in principle, saying that, you've got to kind of work your way up and sort of prove that you're providing content. But it is the higher up people. It is not, let's say, I'm just going to pluck YouTube names out of thin air. It's not TV Watcher 96 with 20 subscribers who brought notoriety to YouTube last year. It was PewDiePie saying the N-word and prompting neo-Nazi imagery with his millions of subscribers. It wasn't this no-name 16-year-old YouTuber who just wanted to talk about TV for fun online. It was friggin' PewDiePie. It wasn't the small one. It wasn't Meg Watches Stuff 91 who broadcast a dead body to an audience of children with her 90 subscribers. No, it was Logan Paul with his 30-ish million subscribers, or whatever the numbers actually are. He got 6 million views. It's the bigger audiences that are giving the platform the bad name. If anything, it's the bigger audiences that need the more moderation, who need to be the ones who are held more to account than the smaller YouTubers, who are actually going to be the ones who are punished by the system. And in a way, it's not a massive punishment, because if you've got over 1,000 subscribers, then you're probably going to be making slightly more money than a YouTuber with like 12 subscribers who happens to be getting a couple of cents a month or a couple of dollars a month. I get that in principle, but it's responding to the wrong thing, and it's punishing the wrong people for the actions of the bigwigs. It's basically British and American politics at the moment. It's the ones who are high up who are screwing everything over without any consequence, but it's the ones on the bottom rungs that are going to get punished for it. And also last year, you had the whole kerfuffle with YouTube, who were demonetizing and age restricting and suspending the channels of YouTubers who were talking about, say, LGBT issues or trans issues. Not explicit contents, just existing on the platform. And then you have an audience where you've got people with millions or hundreds of thousands of subscribers making ad revenue and $1,000 a month, who are creating literal neo-Nazi content, who are literally promoting hatred and bigotry and getting money for it, and yet they still exist on the platform. YouTube are completely hitting the wrong target with these changes over the past 12 months, and this is just another example of it. And this is, in a way, this is stuff I've been saying for literally years, where YouTube's hands-off approach, and not even wanting to entertain the idea of basic moderation, is now coming home to roost. They've scared off the advertisers because they created the monster, and now they cannot stop it in a way. I think if YouTube announced we're suspending Logan Paul's channel, we're chastising PewDiePie for what he's done, we're going to get rid of the neo-Nazi channels that are literally promoting hatred and bigotry, and we're going to remove all the ISIS videos and all this stuff, and we are also doing this change to hurt the lowest subscribers, that it would kind of be easier to take that pill with that spoonful of sugar, if that makes sense. But no, that's not what's happening here. Like, YouTube's approach to the whole Logan Paul Paul issue is emblematic of the platform as a whole. They didn't take down Logan Paul's video after it had been broadcast to 6 million people, predominantly children. Logan Paul did it. YouTube, and they had that Twitter response where they were saying, "Oh, we saw the video and we took the appropriate action." You didn't fucking do anything, YouTube. You didn't do anything until maybe a week and a half after the incident had transpired. You are comically inept at handling your top talent, and this is kind of the price that you get when you have an open and free platform on YouTube. I absolutely get it, but it's still a private company that needs to be funded by the advertisers in the same way that maybe television should. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You have diverse and great and thought-provoking and often contrarian opinions on TV, and that is still a viable marketplace. YouTube can do exactly the same thing. But one thing that I'm kind of concerned about is that while YouTube are sitting pretty at the very top with their Logan Pauls, with their PewDiePies, with their Philip DeFrancos, with Smosh and Screen Junkies, and I'm not comparing Philip DeFranco and Screen Junkies to Logan Paul and PewDiePie's terrible actions. I'm just saying these are some of the names I'm coming up with at the top of my head for big YouTubers or big YouTube channels and networks. They have these massive channels that are bringing them lots and lots of money and sponsorships and ad revenue and such. But are they going to be shooting themselves in the foot in terms of long-term growth? What we need to know from YouTube is that if you are not eligible for monetization, if you do not get the 1,000 subscribers or the 4,000 hours of watch time, are you still going to be promoted by the algorithm? If you still create content in the certain way that helps the algorithm or behaves with what the algorithm wants, will you still be put in the system, or do you have to very, very slowly grow from the outside? Because if the monetization and the algorithm are two completely disconnected and disjointed things, that's an issue, because we need to have YouTube channels coming from the outside, from the fringes, able to grow and become the next PewDiePies, become the next DeFrancos, become the next Screen Junkies. Because what's going to happen is that while some YouTubers have been around for a long time, you do have some YouTubers from the very beginning of the platform who are now no longer around, who have significantly smaller audiences than they did previously. And YouTube fame comes in peaks and valleys and in waves, and YouTube need to make sure that they are able to promote the next wave of creators as opposed to stifling them and just resting on their current laurels, because resting on their laurels is how they frigging got into this adpocalypse situation in the first place. And one reason I'm just kind of angry about this whole thing is because this has just been a terrible week for me on YouTube in general. I've been hit with constant BBC Worldwide Content ID and copyright claims and such, even though in YouTube's own creators Academy they say that people who abuse the Content ID policies will be reprimanded. I contacted YouTube and they said we'll be in touch within one business day, and then they did not get in touch with me. They instead sent me a survey asking, how did we do with your feedback? Like, you didn't do anything, you dicks. And then I emailed saying, it's been a business day, it's actually been 4, but you've not got in touch with me yet, what's going on? And then they emailed back saying, oh, sorry, we didn't respond to you, and here's our response. And their response was basically, we're not going to do anything. And the way the email was worded, clearly copied and pasted from a spreadsheet on how to respond to certain inquiries or certain issues. They clearly either did not read or they absolutely misunderstood what my concerns were, so I'm trying to get that sorted. I'm currently leaving my YouTube network Freedom, because back in 2014 when I first joined, they were really helpful and they were really supportive in terms of helping get rid of illegitimate and fraudulent copyright strikes and content ID abusers. But now they're not willing to do that. But I'm currently, because I threatened to leave, they're currently helping me out and seeing what they can do to fix the issues I've got. So hopefully that's going to pan out really, really well. One of my Doctor Who videos on my misinterpreted Reviews channel got blocked by one company because I had Great British Bake Off footage. Even though in the video itself there is no footage of the Great British Bake Off, yet they were still able to just block my video. YouTube, it's been a very bad week for myself and YouTube. So, and that's why I'm going to be talking about the state of the channel and the state of my content over, hopefully, the next couple of months. My Mr. Titus Reviews channel, what happened last year was that come February, come March time, I got a job working on a CBBC show, and that there were very long hours, and then I hopped straight from that into another one, and then from that into another one. I was very appreciative of the work, but it meant that the hours were so long that I was kind of neglecting the YouTube channel. So I thought, okay, I'll do the Film Brits podcast. I'll do that every weekend, or try and do that as often as I can. Make it Patreon funded to help support the channel, and hopefully, because I'm doing longer content, that will help with the algorithm. However, because of my schedule, I wasn't able to do it every single weekend, and because it was only like 1 hour-long video a week, YouTube's algorithm wasn't quite accepting it, so it's not really had much circulation. I've lost a couple of subscribers, completely understandably so I think I kind of need to readjust the format of the Chubby Reviews YouTube channel. What I've been doing on my Mistitled Reviews channel was that I've been doing some news and discussion and reaction videos and things like that, and I think I'm going to do that in the Chubby Reviews channel to movie news or other topics that I think interest me. And the in-depth reviews that people really want, the 30 to 40 minute long film reviews that kind of I became a semi-D-list, Z-list celebrity known for, they'll just come out when I'm able to have the time to get them to do it. But the smaller videos will help to keep me in YouTube's algorithm loop, and hopefully every week I'll still be able to do a Film Brits podcast. But what I might do is that make the Film Brits podcast completely Patreon contributed in terms of the content, and just make it like a Q&A podcast every single weekend, and then during the week I just talk about news stories. But this whole YouTube thing has like kind of been really demotivating over the past week. Before I recorded this, I tried to do a Tomb Raider trailer reaction. I didn't do a whole lot. Let's watch the trailer and then sit in silence for 3 minutes and say, that was my reaction, goodbye. No, I can't do that content. Firstly, it's shit. Secondly, if I talk over the trailer, I may miss something, and then when I'm talking about it at the end, I may end up getting across some false information, or saying, why didn't the trailer show this? And it turns out I missed it because I was trying to have a woo over the top wacky reaction to something happening. It's just completely against my DNA as a creator to do a reaction the way reactions get popular. It's just, I just don't get it. I mentally, I cannot jump through that many hoops to contrive a video like that. So it was like, okay, I watched the trailer, let's talk about it for 5 minutes. And also Sony Vegas, my editing software, was kind of playing up as well, so it was like, no, I'm not happy with that video, let's not do that one. But hopefully once I've had a day or two off of YouTube being an absolute pillock, I might be able to get some more content out, and it will also be content that's more newsworthy and more topical, because the most viewed episodes of the Film Brits podcast was like the Harvey Weinstein one, after the whole Me Too movement was coming out, and that was quite newsworthy and trend-worthy in a way, and it sounds completely cynical, and in a way it absolutely is cynical. But it was working. It was what people wanted to see, and it was also one of the most viewed videos. I think it was my most viewed video of last year, and it only got like 2,000 views, which is not the best result, but it's kind of the way things go. And also, my most viewed video last year, actually, in terms of my entire channel, was the Wrong Trousers review of Wallace and Gromit. So in a way, the Chubby Reviews channel over the past year, at least in terms of a numerical sense, has been stagnating, and it's kind of been because of all the stuff I've been doing outside of YouTube, in terms of progressing my own career, doing my own short film work, being a freelance production crew member and such, which I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. But it also means that you folks who have been a very awesome and dedicated audience, it means that you folks have had less content to chew on, and also some of you haven't been seeing it in your sub feeds because I have not been obeying YouTube's approach to how I should create content, which is a bit depressing, but it's kind of how things go. So let me know in the comment section below if you'd be happy with that sort of approach, where I would do movie vlogs and movie reviews and such. It's kind of like shorter, more regular content, and then maybe do a long Q&A every single weekend. I might even live stream it. And once I get maybe a setup all sorted out, like the patrons give me the topics for the day, and then I talk about it over maybe an hour while live streaming it, and then take a few questions from the chat board. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm just currently thinking about it at the moment, but we'll see how that goes. But the Mistitled Reviews channel has actually been doing pretty well over the past couple of weeks, as I've been doing the shorter form regular content while I wait for the in-depth reviews to come out. It'll be interesting to see how the Cold War review does compared to the Rings of Akatem review, because it will have had like a build-up of regular traffic building up to it before that edited main attraction video. So we'll see. I'll see how the numbers go for that one. That would be quite interesting. So yeah, thank you very much for hearing me ramble about YouTube and things like that. But yeah, like I said, it just feels like YouTube are picking on completely the wrong people, and if they really want to get rid of bad actors, if they really want to help the credibility of YouTube and attract more advertisers, they friggin' ditch Logan Paul by now. That's kind of the way to do it, that you'd ditch PewDiePie, you'd ditch Logan Paul. But Trilby, what about all of they make so much money for YouTube? There are thousands of creators on YouTube. Promote somebody else, put them in the trending, and then it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where YouTube, in a way, they could prop up whoever they want to prop up. So they can do it. You could argue it would be morally bad, like, oh, you're stifling them, but YouTube is still a free platform, and what you could do is you could like shut down PewDiePie's channel. That won't prevent him from starting up a new one and then gaining a following from scratch. Firstly, it might teach him a frigging lesson to not say the N-word on a live stream as an insult, and stuff like that. It's like Logan Paul's like, I want a second chance, but no, you need a punishment first, mate. And also, you showing a suicide video to an audience of predominantly children was not your first mistake, was it? It was a pattern of shitty behaviour that was spanning back months, possibly years. So, you know, YouTube, the solution is in their hands, the power is theirs, and you could name like 50 different solutions to the issue, and they continually choose the worst ones. So it's annoying and frustrating, and it's why I don't put all of my eggs in the YouTube basket, and why I do have work outside of YouTube. But to be perfectly transparent and honest, if it wasn't for the ad revenue I got at the end of the month, and if it wasn't for the Patreon stuff, I probably wouldn't be able to do what I do. As in, there have been times when I've just like almost run out of money, and I've needed the support of Patreon. I've needed the support of the AdSense, and sometimes I wouldn't be able to pay my rent or my bills if it wasn't for that just little extra push from Patreon or from my YouTube content, which is why I'm so committed to keeping to it, because while you're not going to be getting people who are like, this is my livelihood, YouTube are ruining with my 500 subscribers and my 30 cents a month. It's not that at all. I'm not going to say how much, but it's higher than that, and I don't make my living off of YouTube primarily, but it does contribute towards my bills, to my living, and also the living of my fiance as well, and it is that extra push that actually, you know, allows me to live, and allows me to eat, and allows me to use the toilet, and allows me to have a roof over my head. So I massively appreciate all of that support from my patrons, from people who watch, from people who circulate the videos, and that's kind of thing. If you would like to help me, this is not e-begging, but this, like, I'm not saying go to my Patreon and give me all the money. You can if you want to. I won't say no, but if you want to help me in other ways, then if you see a video of mine, like say my Iron Man review, put it on an MCU Facebook page or an MCU Reddit page or a message board that you're on. If you like my Doc 2 content, share it on a Doc 2 message board, or share it with people you like, and also like the video, subscribe, share it around, watch it all the way through, even if it's a video you're not interested in, watch it all the way through on mute and in another tab to help her. It still counts towards a view technically. It's just all of that little stuff you can do to help creators. So yeah, that's kind of the best way you can help. If you don't have the money, which is absolutely fine, you're not obligated. You are not forced to. It's something that has to be completely on your terms, and I absolutely get that. But if you would like to help out without contributing directly, then you can share the videos. You hit the like button, you subscribe, you share them on forums and things like that to help to circulate the videos more. That is, in my opinion, the main way to help to put the videos more on the map, and to help me grow as a creator and to get more better content out. So thank you very much for hearing me ramble and rant on that. Let's get to the patron stuff. If you would like to become a patron, be sure to go to www.patreon.com/Trilby, and if you go above a certain tier, then you'll be able to suggest topics and questions for the Film Brits podcast. Also, I would like to give a shout out to my patrons, all of them, because a few of you are quite new this month, which is awesome, because if you became a patron this month, you would get the Doctor Who Cold War review early because YouTube and BBC Worldwide are still kind of holding it hostage. 5 days before the 30-day deadline, BBC Worldwide have responded. They responded 5 days earlier than I thought they would. I thought they would have replied very last minute, but they still said that no, you can't have this video up, it's still content ID'd. So they've reset the timer to another 30 days, and I responded. So in 30 days, the Doctor Who review of Cold War will go live, because it always goes live, because I always win these friggin' things. So I can announce that Doctor Who Cold War, barring any other outside or mitigating circumstances, will go live on the YouTube channel on either the 17th or the 18th of February 2018. I may make it the Saturday, because it's the 17th, which is a Saturday. It just depends on how early the video gets released off the BBC respond earlier. I will let you folks know. Be sure to keep an eye on Twitter and Facebook. So the first the first question comes from Cassidy Winter, who asks, what is your most underrated soundtrack? He asks many questions. What is your most underrated soundtrack? Do you have any hobbies? Do you have any collectibles? If you could own a perfect replica prop, what would it be? I'll tackle them one at a time and in order. What is your most underrated soundtrack? If we're talking movie score, it has to be Craig Armstrong's score of The Incredible Hulk. I think Craig Armstrong is a superb yet massively overrated. That's the opposite of what I want. He's a massively underrated composer. He's a Scottish composer. He wrote music he started out writing music for the Royal Shakespeare Company, and also has done a lot of work in films, but not nearly enough. He did the score for The Incredible Hulk, Wall Street Money Never Sleeps. He kind of contributed the main orchestrations towards heavily soundtracked, licensed soundtrack movies like Moulin Rouge and The Great Gatsby. He's a frequent Baz Luhrmann collaborator. He also did Romeo plus Juliet. He did the music for Love Actually, so the whole that was Craig Armstrong, and that was also my terrible impression. He did even when the film is not particularly good, he always has a good score for it, like Victor Frankenstein and what's it called? Actually, no, I think I mistook that for something. Who did the music for The Golden Compass? I'm going to Google that right now because it makes for great radio. The music for The Golden Compass was... Alexander Desplat. Okay, I don't know why I thought Craig Armstrong did the Golden Compass score. That was not him. But, yeah, and also Far From the Madding Crowd. I don't think that's a very good adaptation of the book, but the score is awesome. The movie In Time, not a great movie. The score is awesome. Craig Armstrong always delivered. But his score for The Incredible Hulk is outstanding. The way he creates an entire soundscape for the movie based on character and tone and feel. It's such a wonderful, multifaceted score. When I'm working, sometimes I just like to have the Incredible Hulk movie on in the background. Not because I'm watching it or because I'm invested in the film, but even though I love the film, but because it creates a great soundscape, something really dynamic and really fun to edit to and really fun to write to. I really enjoy writing and editing to the Incredible Hulk movie, and the soundscape and the Craig Armstrong's compositions are a big reason for it. If you want to listen to some of his tracks, I recommend, if you go on YouTube or on Spotify, or maybe if you can track down a pre-owned copy of the actual soundtrack, I highly recommend you listen to the tracks The Flower, Hulk Smash, Hulk Theme, End Credits, the main titles. The percussion in the main titles, like the last 20 to 30 seconds is... it blows my mind. Are They Dead? A Tear, The Necklace. There's just some amazing music in the Incredible Hulk film, and I absolutely love it, and it's really underrated in my opinion. Next question from Cassidy. Do you have any hobbies? My main hobbies are my work and also my relationship with my fiancée. When I'm not working in the TV or film industry, I'm working on my YouTube stuff. When I'm not working on that, I'm spending time with her, because we live together and our families are like on the other side of the country, or we spend time with friends and things like that. Both of us were very, very work driven. I work from home when I'm doing my YouTube stuff, or I'm off out and about when I'm doing my film TV work. For example, I'm going to be away for 2 days next week, working on a project with Jack Whitehall, and then after that I'm going to be in London for about a week and a half working on a game show. I'm not going to say which one it is, but yeah, I'm going to be working on a game show. At that point, content on YouTube will probably not happen. It depends on what what my setup will be when I'm there. I'm probably going to bring my laptop so I can get stuff done, or make sure I'm actually near a desktop computer, or when I'm there, just in case of emergencies. There's some things I can't do on my phone. But yeah, it's basically when we're not working, we're with each other, and when we're not with each other, we're friends. Yeah, so we don't, but in a way, my YouTube stuff is my hobby. It is a portfolio of extracurricular work that I like to do. I just enjoy analysing film. I enjoy the podcast. I enjoy discussing stuff with people. So in a way, that is the hobby, but that is kind of the main answer. Also, do you have any collectibles? I don't really collect, but I've got a couple of steelbooks, but I only get steelbooks for films I absolutely love, like The Martian or Captain America Civil War or Psycho. I'm not really much of a collector, also Baby Driver. I'm just looking at my shelf at the moment, just trying to... the Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie. So yeah, I don't so much as collect steelbooks. Otherwise I probably would have got like the Transformers ones, but I don't like those films. I would never ever watch them at home unless I was reviewing them, so there's no point in owning them. For collectibles, not really. My fiance years ago got me a subscription to the Doctor Who figurine collection magazine, but those are kind of gathering dust, like in a box somewhere. I got like a load of issues of that, but I've not really done anything with them. Which makes me sound like the absolute worst fiance in the world, but that's kind of how it goes. So because we're kind of lacked for space in where we live, there's not really much room to collect stuff unless we're going to frequently use it. It's like our Blu-ray or DVD collection. But I may do a video about that, just showing you folks what the collection consists of. Also, if you could own a perfect prop replica, if you could own a perfect prop replica of any movie prop, what would it be? Keeping in mind the previous question that in terms of like space where we live, so it can't like be the DeLorean car, so we can't fit that anywhere. I would love to. It's not a movie prop, but I'd love to have an actual Doctor Who sonic screwdriver. That'd be pretty cool. It'd be something interesting, like maybe the ping pong ball that was Jar Jar Binks in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, or the tennis ball that was the Balrog in Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Stuff like that would be pretty fun. Maybe getting a Michael Myers mask, or just something to maybe freak people out. Something with practical applications, like even if it is just for the purposes of it's just a prank, bro. That'd be pretty fun. I know someone who's got like a Dalek replica prop, which would be pretty cool, but where the shit would I store it? And what would I do with it apart from film constant comedy sketches with it? So, yeah, it's something like that, something a bit smaller. In the Movie Mania podcast a week or two ago, we were asked if we can go back in time to view any movie set and also take a prop from it, what would it be? And one of my picks was The Room. The Tommy Wiseau movie, The Room, and one thing that would be fun to do would be to go into the set of their apartment, their living room set, and to steal one of the picture frames that had the spoons in it. And for those of you who don't know, when they were filming The Room, they needed to fill the set with props. They needed to make it look like a lived-in place. So what they did was that they went to the nearest furniture, went to the nearest prop place to get some picture frames, but instead of putting like family pictures or pictures of happy smiling couples and stuff in them as you normally would when you live in a property, they kept the stock photos inside them, which were just photos of spoons. So whenever one of those frames appears in a public screening of The Room, they throw spoons at the screen. And now I've just explained the joke. It probably isn't funny, but that's what I would do. Okay, so next question comes from Edward Sweet. Says, I know you did a podcast a while ago about your favourite stop-motion films, but since we have Early Man and Isle of Dogs on the horizon, what are your favourite and or underrated stop-motion films? My favourite stop-motion movie is either Kubo and the Two Strings or Curse of the Were-Rabbit. I'm a huge fan of Aardman and Laika. My underrated shout-out goes to another Aardman film, The Pirate in an Adventure of Scientists, or The Pirates Band of Misfits in the US. I've also been told to watch it on Melissa, as I've heard that's also very good. So I did a podcast a few months ago on my top 5 favourite stop-motion films, and my number 1... or my number 2, I can't... Either way, it was Kubo and the Two Strings or Curse of the Were-Rabbit. But this sounds like I'm copying Edward Sweet, but when I was reading this question before I got to his answer, one of my underrated shout-outs would have been The Pirate in an Adventure of Scientists. It is one of Aardman's under-the-radar films, and it's just really, really fun. It's packed with classic Aardman fast comedy, but also really clever and subversive characters. You pause the movie at any point and there's 10 jokes happening in the background. The credits of Pirates in an Adventure of Scientists literally consists of all of the picture frames and the props and some of the items that I just seen in the movie. They lay them out during the credits, and it's just outstanding the amount of detail that the Aardman crew go into. And it's all stop motion as well. It's not like flushed away where it's CGI. But with Pirates and Adventure of Scientists, I think the water and many of the effects were CGI. So it was a great blend of stop motion and CGI animation. It was a really ideal and brilliant blend. I also love Aardman's Shaun the Sheep movie. When I went into it, I wasn't expecting much, but it's a really great silent comedy. It's a really fun, heartfelt 80 minutes, a slice of joy and happiness. I would compare it to, say, like Paddington or Paddington 2 in terms of quality. It's really good. I'm looking forward to Early Man kind of hesitantly, mainly because it's of the name and the talent involved. I don't think the trailers have been particularly awe-inspiring or really, really impressive, but I'm still holding out hope, because that's how I felt with Shaun the Sheep. I thought this could be really good because the talent's great and it's Aardman, but the trailers aren't great, and then I was wowed by Shaun the Sheep. So I really hope Early Man turns out well. But yeah, Edward, check out Anomalisa. I gave Anomalisa a 9 out of 10 on my website. I think it was a 9 or a 10 out of 10. It was one of those two. Either way, really high praise. It's going to be in my top 10 movies of 2016. That video is happening, by the way. It's going to happen hopefully very soon, because some of you folks still really want to see it, and I'm really appreciative of that. So yeah, Anomalisa is amazing. It's a great film where it allows you to get into the headspace of its main character. Don't read my review. Watch the film, then read my review, because my film kind of really goes in detail and in depth onto, it also gives many plot spoilers as well, because it's kind of a dissection of the film as well. But yeah, go watch Pirates and Adventure of Scientists, go watch Anomalisa, and also watch Shaun the Sheep movie. Those are really mainstream picks, but I also heard great things about My Life as a Courgette. I've not checked it out yet. I will probably try and rent it or check it out on a streaming service when it gets there, because it's a French film. Either way, it's foreign language, it's in subtitles, so it's something where you probably need to get an actual legal release. It's not something you can pirate effectively, which I know is a deterrent for many people because it's a foreign language film. But it's on DVD, it's on Blu-ray as well, I think, but it may be in a very limited Blu-ray release. But if it's on a streaming service, check it out. I've heard it's really, really good. Edward Sweet also has a second question, but I'll read it because I have a very short answer. So, second question, favourite anime movies that aren't from Studio Ghibli? Mine is Takeshi Kokei's Red Line. The best way I can describe it is that it's wacky races on every stimulant known to man, and the animation is simply jaw-dropping. It spent 5 to 7 years in development, and it shows. I've never heard of Red Line, but I'll try and check it out. It sounds like something that would be an absolute trip. But as for my favourite anime movie that isn't from Studio Ghibli, I am comically mainstream in regards to my experience with anime. When it comes to anime TV shows, my tastes are a bit more eclectic. I've My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, Attack on Titan, Dragon Ball Super, but also the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon and Digimon and Ultimate Muscle, the Kinnikuman Legacy. Probably a couple of others that I'm missing. I also watched Beyblade as well, but I kind of grew out of that kind of quickly. But when it comes to films that aren't Studio Ghibli, my knowledge only kind of extends to movie adaptations of those TV shows, like the Pokemon movies, like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Movies, and things like that. So outside of Studio Ghibli, I can't really think of any anime that I've watched that really stood out or is worthy of mention. Like the last Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie, not Bonds Beyond Time, that was okay, but Dark Side of Dimensions, I actually really enjoyed that. The duels in it were really underwhelming, but the actual character stuff was really, really well done. I think the voice cast, like Eric Stewart and Dan Green gave his best performance in that movie as young Yugi, and it's just great to kind of have him back voicing that character, especially what he's been through the past couple of years. For those of you who don't know, Dan Green's wife died in childbirth, giving birth to, I think it was twins. It was 1 or 2 kids, either way, and she passed away. And the internet set up a crowdfunding campaign to give Dan Green some money so that he wouldn't have to work while looking after 2 kids after he just lost his wife. Because he seems like a really lovely, nice guy. And I just got a message from the composer of my short film Before He Wakes. She sent me some music for the film. I can't wait to check that one out. That's gonna be fun. Anyways, yeah, in terms of non-Studio Ghibli anime films, I don't want to give an answer because it's my tastes are comically mainstream. But I will say I really liked the third Pokemon movie, The Spell of the Unknown. The last Yu-Gi-Oh movie was pretty good as well. So those are my terrible answers to what is a very awesome, lovely art form. Like also the Ace Attorney anime. I've been checking that out as well. I think are they doing a second season? They're either doing a second series or there's something different happening with the US dub. Something is happening with that series that is going to give it a future, and I kind of enjoyed that as well. But in anime movies, that is a blind spot in my I would say profession. This isn't a profession, but I hope you get my meaning. So next question comes from Dean Jones. Happy New Year, Trilby and everyone else. A long time ago when you did the Patreon exclusive podcast, I asked you a question regarding Breaking Bad. As the series turns 10 years old this month, have you finished the series? If so, what are your favourite moments / episodes? I have not finished it. I'm about halfway through series 3. I would like to maybe do a vlog or a video about it once I've finished it, but what I love about Breaking Bad is that it really embraces the serialized nature of TV. There's a episode, I'm going to try and find the actual name of the episode, one moment, Breaking Bad, Ending Car Park. Those of you who know Breaking Bad very well might actually know which ones I mean. Okay, I've been vigorously Googling for like 2 minutes, and I guess I can't find the episode, but it's either in Series 2 or Series 3, where Walter White decides that he's got the money that he wants. He's going to stop cooking meth, and he's going to distance his relationship between himself and Jesse and try and have a normal life. And what happens is that it shows essentially a day or two in the life of Walter White when he's not cooking meth. He is trying to fix stuff around the house. He is trying to do his job normally. He's also trying to kind of cover up what he's done in the past. And then the episode ends with him in a parking lot, and he gives a dressing down to some hoodlums, some delinquents in the parking lot. And it's a great episode in terms of showcasing the strength of serialized television, where you are telling one long-form story, because it shows a day in the life of Walter White. And yeah, it's a boring episode, but in a way it's meant to be boring, and boring is not a negative adjective in this context, in my opinion, because it shows how this life that Walter White is now wanting to be a part of, because he's trying to move away from meth, is not for him. He's had a taste of the high. He's had a taste of the action-packed excitement and everything, and he's able to use his talent to make a lot of money and feel powerful. It's a power trip for him as well. And this episode kind of dresses him down. It's like, this was a boring day in my life, but this altercation in the parking lot at the end of the episode kind of says, no, let's keep doing this, because this episode has bored the audience. It has bored Walter White. We want to cook meth again, please. It's not the best episode of the series, but when I recommend the strengths of serialized storytelling or the strength of long-form storytelling that Netflix has sort of brought into the forefront because of its binge-worthiness, it's an episode that I point to. So while I can't give you quite an in-depth opinion on Breaking Bad as a whole, Dean Jones, hashtag Dean Jones for next Bond, I think that I hopefully I've given you enough of just an observation on a particular episode that makes you maybe consider Breaking Bad in a different way and how it utilizes long form storytelling. Once I've watched Breaking Bad, I'll try and check out Better Call Saul, but what I'm going to try and do in order to keep with the YouTube algorithms, like I said earlier, is maybe do reaction videos to some trending shows. Like I need to watch series 3 and 4 of Black Mirror. I may just watch all of the episodes of Black Mirror and just do like a 10-minute reaction video to every single episode, just for fun. It's like 3 episodes a season. Like that's easily done, and they're also quite standalone as well. So. And the final question, the final patron, is Ben Greeley, who asks, are there any movies you love that people hate or vice versa? Also, are there directors whose films get too overhyped in your opinion? An example for me is David O. Russell. Not a bad director, just never made a movie that I would consider anything but mediocre. So, Ben, the first answer to your question, movies that I love that people hate, vice versa. Love is a strong word, but this is the example that keeps popping up. I really like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie. If you consider it an adaptation of the graphic novels, it is a really bad adaptation. It is not faithful at all, and it is wasting some of the potential of those characters. But it is a fun, turn your brain off at the door blockbuster. It is a fun time for me. I think some of the special effects are pretty good. There's some really good action sequences. I love Jason Fleming as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's a terrific performance. And I think even people who hate the movie accept that that is a good, at least like an interesting portrayal of the character. If they are going to turn him into a Hulk-like character, that's the way to do it. And the practical effects are really good. And the fight with him and the Dante Beast is at least visually entertaining, if not it's not emotionally fulfilling, but it's a fun time at least. And the Nautilus and Captain Nemo, I think it's a fun time at the movies, and I defend it on that front. If people say they hate it, it's terrible, I hate everything about it, I will not lunge to the movie's defense. I will not try and defend it to my dying breath. It is not the hill I am willing to die on. But I understand the viewpoints, but I will say I had a good time with it. I also like the first Cars movie. I gave it a 4 out of 5 when I reviewed it years ago, and I stand by that rating. I think it's obviously not close to Pixar's best, but there's a couple of elements in the film that are standard great Pixar, like the character of Doc Hudson. Doc Hudson's the scene where he races around the track for the first time on his own is one of Pixar's best scenes. And I'm not joking about that. I love that sequence. I think it's terrific, and Paul Newman's performance is really great and really fitting. And the best part about Cars 3 was that it actually it revisited that Doc Hudson legacy. And Cars 3 is a step down from Cars, and Cars 2 was also a step down. But the best part of Cars 3 was actually they knew what they had in the first Cars movie with Paul Newman and that character. And unfortunately, he passed away a few years after Cars was released, so he couldn't appear in the sequels, but Cars 3 did a good job at giving like a nice little capper to that relationship, and I really liked that. Also, a director whose films get too overhyped, in my opinion, David O. Russell is my answer to. I don't think he creates good films. American Hustle is a bad movie, but he's able to get really good actors in them, like Amy Adams and Christian Bale and Jennifer Lawrence and Robert De Niro and Bradley Cooper and all these names. And like Joy is average at best. American Hustle got a Best Original Screenplay nomination, even though, one, it's based off of true events, so how the hell is it original? And two, the actors were improvising so much on set, there was practically no script. How do you get a screenplay nomination when there's no friggin' script? Also, the actors were improvising so much they were actually creating plot holes within the movie. Like, the editing is terrible as well. I don't think he's visually interesting. I think he doesn't direct actors well. He gets good actors, which is different. And also, there's a slight amount of vindication I've been having, because I've been saying this for years about David O. Russell. And now it's like all coming home to roost now, all the allegations against him, and how I guess there's really shitty behaviour. The thing is, I'm sorry to push the liberal agenda, but if a woman director did a tenth the things that David O. Russell did on set of a film, they would never work in that town again. Yet David O. Russell is allowed to get away with it. No, if I ran a film studio and David O. Russell came in with a film pitch, I would show him that door. I'd say, fuck off, I don't want to work with you, I don't want the drama, your films are shit anyway. That's what I would do. But that's why I'm not working in Hollywood. I'm just working in TV sometimes when I feel like it. And that is the episode of the Film Brits podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you for listening to me ramble. And also thanks to the patrons who help to support the podcast. If you would like to get your questions or topics read out on the Film Brits podcast, and also to help to support the show, then be sure to go to www.patreon.com/Chorby. I massively appreciate the support. And also, because the Cold War review will not be going live on YouTube until mid-February 2018, if you are a patron for another month, if you've not been a patron yet, and you are for this month, if you decide to join this month, you will get the Cold War review a couple of weeks early before it goes live on YouTube, so as a way of just saying thank you and a screw you to BBC Worldwide. So thank you so much for listening to the Film Brits podcast. Be sure to rate it on iTunes, hit that like button if you're listening to this on YouTube, and also be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much, and I shall see you folks next time.